Howdy folks, I'm Darren and welcome to Cross Timbers Outside. Glad to be back with you folks today. It's early January 2026 and we are here on our property that we own in the wooded area below our farm that we love to come to and camp out and cook over a campfire and things of that nature. It's just a relaxing, peaceful place to be. We love it down in here in these woods. And we've got an area here cleaned out that we keep cleaned out for our campsite. And we don't camp here very often, but occasionally we will. And just to get away from everything, turn the phones off and the computers off, the TVs off, everything shut down. Get you a percolator coffee pot and a couple of good steaks and a cast iron skillet and a tent. Come down and spend the night, the evening, night, and most of the next day, relaxing around a campfire with all this crazy world's chaos somewhere else. It don't belong here. We don't bring it here. When we come here, this is peaceful, quiet time that we really, really enjoy. Started out this morning, and like I said, it's early January. We started to go crappie fishing this morning. We've had rain the last couple of days. The ground's damp, and we started to go crappie fishing and looked at the lake levels and the numbers and actually talked to someone that can see the lake. And they said it was high and looked like a cup of hot chocolate. It was muddy brown. So we gave up the crappie fishing idea for today, and we decided to come down here to our campsite and build a campfire. Building a campfire seems so simple to outdoorsmen. Most people that camp a lot, hunt, fish, things like that, they spend time outdoors. But it's shocking how many people don't really know how to build a campfire. Just go down to your local state park on a camping trip on a weekend in the summer and watch how many people don't know how to build a campfire. They struggle and struggle and struggle just to get even a small fire going. And if you've been in that situation, you saw it. We used to camp out a lot through the summer, and we've got some camping videos on this channel. We have basically quit camping during midsummer because of the crowds of people. And it gets so loud with so many people in campgrounds, and even out in the national forest. You have to be able to get way away from someone, which means leaving your camper parked and putting on a backpack or a four-wheel drive vehicle and going way back in somewhere where you can't take a camper and either truck camping or tent camping, just to get away from everything. That's why this place here on our property is so peaceful, that we like it so well. But anyway, going back to a campfire, go to a state park near you on the weekends in June or July or August and watch how many people struggle to build a campfire. It's elementary to a lot of us, but to some folks it's a daunting task. And even to some folks that know how to build a campfire, with the popularity of bushcraft and survival shows on TV and survival channels on YouTube, don't get me wrong, there is good skills to know in a survival situation. But we don't live in the late 1800s in Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone's day. We have more modern ways of doing some things that's easier, a lot easier. Now, I'm not talking about taking a can of lighter fluid and pouring 2 cans of lighter fluid on a campfire to get it started, which I've seen some folks do in a state park camping, or bring a blowtorch with you to get your fire started. That's ridiculous. And I've seen that in some campgrounds, believe it or not. I watched one guy spray probably 2 to 3 cans of lighter fluid on a campfire trying to get it going. And still, once that lighter fluid burned up, that fire still went right back out. You don't have to go into your campsite and use friction to get your fire going. Build a bow drill or a hand drill. You don't have to do all that. Is it good to know? Yes, it's good to know how to do it. Is it this day and time necessary? No. And if you just like doing it, that's one thing. But is it a necessity? No. This day and time in 2026, if you go camping or you go out in the woods hunting or fishing or hiking, you're going to be a ways from civilization for a long time or all day, and there's a chance you could get stuck out there all night. You are nuts if you don't carry a big lighter or some kind of lighter, a Scripto, I think this brand is a Cricket, some kind of lighter. Actually, you're nuts if you don't carry more than one. These things are dirt cheap. Why would you not carry them? Okay, also in my pocket is a ferro rod with a striker. The striker's not necessary, but a ferro rod. A ferro rod works really good. Do I use it when I'm out like this? No. Why would I? This is a lot easier. This is for emergency backup. If I fall in the lake or the river or these quit working, this will always work. Is it necessary? Not until these don't work. If you're backpacking or fishing or hunting and you've got a pack with you in your boat and you don't have a big lighter, at least 3 or 4 of them stuck in every pocket somewhere, then I would advise you to do that. In my hunting pack, my backpack, there's at least 3 lighters in that backpack at all times. There's a couple of them in my pockets. Is that overkill? Not necessarily. One lighter quits or goes bad or the flint flies out of it or something, I've got another one to get me a fire going to get warm if I'm lost in the woods and have to spend the night. I don't necessarily have to rely on this. This will be with me too, but I don't have to rely on it. This is much more reliable as long as they work. Have a backup. We're going to build a campfire. And one thing to consider when you're building a campfire, if you're out in the woods, if you don't have any tools with you, take your boot, your foot, or a tree limb and rake away all the debris from a good distance around your campfire. I see a lot of folks on YouTube survival videos just building a campfire right in the woods and they don't even clean the debris away. Have you saw any news through the last couple of years where half of the Canada burnt down, California burnt, all sorts of wildfires in different places, especially when it gets dry. Clean out around your campfire. I see people building them right in the debris on the ground and don't clean nothing out around. Clean out your area for your campfire. It's that important. As you can see behind us, if you have rocks available, form you a fire ring, just to kind of contain that fire a little bit. You can see here we have a large fire ring made out of rocks and some big rocks to lay a grate over to be able to cook on. But we've stacked rocks all around this, and this area is windy. This is a naturally breezy and windy area. And because of that, when we built this campfire ring, we took a shovel and dug out and made a fire pit. Not deep, it's only maybe 6-8 inches deep that we dug out in a bowl shaped to keep that fire down in there. It'll suffer a little bit with oxygen, but not much. It doesn't make that big of a difference. It's even more important because we have windy conditions here, and when we have a campfire, it takes a lot stronger wind to blow any hot embers out of that fire ring over into the woods to reduce the wildfire danger. Building a campfire may seem so elementary to you guys that are outdoorsmen, or ladies that are outdoors women. But for some folks, if you don't know, you just don't know. And like I said earlier, one trip to the state park on a weekend in the summer to a campground, and you'll find out real fast that a lot of folks just don't know how to build a campfire. And we're not going to fault them for that. You've got to learn. How did I learn how to build a campfire? I grew up in a very rural area that was full of woods and mountains, and we were almost like feral kids. We were allowed to roam the woods and camp out and hike and fish and hunt as kids and young adults. And I started camping solo when I was 8, 9 years old out in the woods behind our home. And I learned how to build a fire through trial and error. My dad showed me how, but then I kept doing it on my own and learning how to consistently build a fire, even in wet conditions. And a campfire consists of a few things. Number one, what you're going to start your fire with is called tinder. You're going to get some very dry material, whether it be some broom sedge grass out of a field or birch bark or something like that. Do some research for your area that is as dry as it can be, and you're going to rough it up and make that tinder as flammable as possible. And then you're going to put it in your campfire first. Then you're going to put what's called kindling. Kindling is really small branches that tinder will be able to ignite. Then after the kindling gets to burning, then you're going to put fuel on the fire, which is going to consist of bigger wood. It's gradually getting bigger and bigger to build your campfire. I see people try to build a campfire out of wood, you know, the size of your leg, and don't put any tinder, don't put any kindling, nothing, and try to get a fire going with that with 4 cans of lighter fluid and still fail. We're going to start with tinder, then we're going to go to kindling, then to fuel wood. Like I said about these things right here, a lighter. If you go into the woods on a hunting trip or whatever, and there's a possibility you could be there overnight or days, and it's going to be raining, snowing, whatever the case may be, there's another thing you should have in your backpack regardless. Like I said, we are not living in the long hunter days. We're not Daniel Boone. We're not Davy Crockett. We've got things to us available now that we can use to make that job much more efficient. Why wouldn't you? This will take up very little room in your backpack, in your truck camping kit, whatever you're taking with you, just a brown medicine bottle. And inside this medicine bottle is my tinder. What is it, Darren? It is nothing more than cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. I prepare these at home. When I'm going camping, I just grab one and go. If I'm going hunting, there's one goes in my backpack. If I'm going fishing, there's one goes in my pack that goes in the boat. I can always start a fire. This is phenomenal. Otherwise, I'd be out walking the woods trying to find some birch bark. I'd be trying to find some broom sedge out of a field, something really flammable. Trying to find sapwood off some pines, and that's still a good option. That'll help get your fire going even with this in wet weather. But this is almost as valuable as this. These are 2 items that you should never leave home without on a camping trip. The third one would be a good, reliable, small pocket knife. This is a Case XX, 2-blade, very small. Carry it in my pocket very easily. Okay, on my belt at all times usually. I have, this is a custom knife, so you can't buy this in the store, but it is in the sharp finger, the Schrade sharp finger style. And it's only about a 3.5 to 4 inch blade. Perfect for making feathered wood to start your fire with. All sorts of things around a campfire that a little small folder really don't do that well at. We have our tinder. Now let's go find some kindling. As I said earlier, the last couple days we had some good rain and everything on the ground is wet. So when you're picking your kindling, find small branches and small tree limbs that are up off the ground, maybe on a standing dead tree, or like we have here, a brush pile, a bunch of brush that's fell in. These limbs that's on top are up where the air's kept them dry, the airflow going through them, and they've not been lying on wet ground. Perfect place to get our kindling. We're just gonna start getting some small branches that have been up off the ground. That's very important. We don't want to get anything that's been on the ground because of the rain we've had lately. We want to choose any of these limbs that are way up off the ground. There is kindling here everywhere. And kindling is going to be small branches about the size of your fingers or smaller. And this brush has been down for about 2 years. I know that for a fact. This is really seasoned out and it should ignite from our tinder really easily. In just a matter of seconds, got a whole handful. Okay, let's go break this up into appropriate sizes for our campfire and get it ready to go in to get our campfire started. Before you ever start building a campfire, get all your materials ready first. We're going to break up all this kindling into a neat little pile and lay it right here next to our fire ring where we can put it on top of the tinder when we're ready to start. Just take your time. There's no need to be in a big, huge hurry unless it's 30 degrees or lower and you fell in the river or something and hypothermia is starting to set in. Then you might want to speed it up to get your fire going to ward off hypothermia. And that's where carrying a lighter and some cotton balls soaked in Vaseline is so important. If you need to get that fire going fast, and I've had that happen before. Years ago, I'll tell a story while I'm getting this kindling broke up. Years ago, I was on a fly fishing trip way up in the mountains in December. And that morning when we started fishing, there was ice along the edge of the river. It was, the temperature was in the teens. And during the course of this fishing trip, I accidentally slipped on some ice and fell into the river with my chest waders on. And the river where I fell in was only about waist deep. You'd think my chest waders would have saved me from that, but I fell down. Water went down in my chest waders. And folks, it wasn't long until my friend that I was fishing with said, we got to get a fire going ASAP. We knew that I was entering hypothermia, the stages of it. It was obvious. The uncontrollable shivering and shaking. My thought process was starting to get a little fuzzy. So we climbed up on the bank and he kicked out an area really fast and we had cotton balls and a lighter, and we had a roaring fire going really fast. And I stripped all the way down to my undies, standing by that fire in the middle of December and it in the teens, getting warm. I really believe that possibly saved my life. Here, and as you can see, this campfire pit has been used before, and it's really wet down in there right now from all the rain we've had. We do not want to build our fire right on top of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some pieces of wood and put down first, just like this, to build our fire on, just like that. Okay, the next thing is to add our tinder. And our tinder, as we talked about earlier, is going to be simply one cotton ball soaked in Vaseline. And I don't want Vaseline all over my hands, so I'm going to take my pocket knife, my Case XX pocket knife, and I'm going to reach inside here with my knife blade, and I'm going to pull out one cotton ball soaked in Vaseline. Now we're going to put on our kindling that we just collected, just like that. A little bit big ones on top. Okay. Okay, we have our fuel wood ready as well. It's off to the side. Now, we're simply going to take our lighter and go under this pile of kindling and light the tinder. That cotton ball will ignite that kindling even in pouring rain. And you see how well it's already taken off. Okay, once we get a decent flame and that kindling is starting to burn pretty good, we're going to start progressively putting a little bit bigger wood on it. Putting a little bit bigger wood chips on it. While our fire and our kindling is going, we've got some very small wood, and this is poplar, very dry, and we're going to start splitting a little bit of this so it will burn even better to get our bed of coals going. Folks, you don't need a big old axe or something when you're camping. This is a 2.5 pound boy's axe. This is fantastic for camping, splitting firewood, and it's got enough length. If you need to split some bigger wood, you can. I see a lot of folks camping, and the popular hip thing to do is to baton a knife or use a hatchet. Not my preference. A boy's axe is light enough and small enough to be able to choke up on it on the handle and do really good splitting with it. Good. Most of the kindling has burnt, and now the fuel wood is starting to burn with a good strong flame. And that was in a very wet fire pit to start with, but we built it on top of those blocks of wood. And now we've got a very good fire going very easily. Oh, that heat feels great. It's chilly out here today. I've got a heavier coat laying over here, but I like feeling the warmth of this fire. Campfire seems so hard for some folks. Very obviously, if you go, like I said, and just watch. And apparently some folks just didn't grow up doing this or was never taught how to build a fire. And their answer to it is propane torch to get it going, or lighter fluid or something like that. You don't need all that stuff. Merely a little cotton ball soaked in some Vaseline as your tinder, and some very small kindling, then your fuel wood. For starters, your fuel wood needs to be small. You know, we're talking the size of your wrist or smaller. And gradually you can get bigger once you start getting a bed of coals. When it comes to building a campfire, it's very simple. There's no need to make it more difficult than it needs to be. If you get on YouTube and start searching for how to build a campfire, you're going to find all kinds of elaborate stuff. The teepee style, the log cabin style, the upside down log cabin style. There's all these methods that I would call very confusing to a new camper or a new outdoorsman, and very unnecessary, very unnecessary. If you're going out on some kind of an excursion outdoors, on a day trip hiking, you're going fishing all day, hunting all day, and there's even the slightest possibility you could get caught out overnight or even during the day and need a fire for some reason. In my opinion, you are very unprepared if you don't have 4 basic things with you. 1, a couple of Bic lighters. 2, cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. A way to start your fire, your ready-made tinder that'll light even in a downpour rain. And the next thing would be a knife, some sort of a decent bladed knife with you. And the 4th thing would be water. Be hydrated. Now, if you're out in the mountains somewhere and you know there's cool mountain streams around, you can substitute a container of water for like a little Sawyer water filter or something like that to put in your pack. You don't necessarily have to carry the actual water, but some way to get water, especially if you know you're in an area where there is water, like we are here in the Appalachian Mountains. In these mountains, there is little streams almost in every deep holler in the mountains somewhere if you look for it. So, 4 things to carry with you, and if you don't have them, in my opinion, you're very unprepared. Like I said, go expecting the best, but prepared for the worst. Our fire here is roaring. My back's getting warm just sitting to it. I'm gonna turn around here and enjoy this fire for a little while. Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. And we will have more content coming on Cross Timbers outside soon. We have been kind of absent from this channel for a little while since we started it, but things have improved. As you may know, we have another channel on YouTube called 8th, and that's the number 8, TH, 8th Day Chronicles. It's our farming channel, and farming over last summer and fall and all took up about all of our time, and we couldn't devote much time to this channel. But we're going to change that. We're going to get back to this channel and back to sharing things in the outdoors. Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. Stay with us. We're going to have some crappie fishing coming up very soon. We would have probably today if the weather would have cooperated. a day or two ago. It just muddied up the lake so bad that we decided to wait till another day. So we're gonna have some crappie fishing content coming, some foraging for wild edibles coming, campfire cooking coming, and I don't know if we're gonna have any more campground camping. We did that for a while, and the crowds of people in campgrounds, except for early spring and late fall, during the summer was just not my cup of tea. Too many people around, too loud, too noisy. We like to be somewhere off in the wilds by ourselves. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I pray God blesses you and your family, and we pray y'all have a fantastic day.
Okay.